This is Unmuted with my girls, Z and Ross the Boss. Talk about it, ladies.
Hello, 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 family and friends. Family and friends, come on in the room. Go ahead and grab a seat. We'd like to welcome you. Like to welcome you to the kickoff to what is going to be an amazing journey. So, before we get into all of the greatness that this time will be that we get to hold space together, we would humbly like to welcome you to Unmuted. It's Zarida.
Ross the boss.
Hey,
They
hey,
thought we
friend, how
weren't
you
gonna
doing?
make it, but we did.
Listen, there's a lot of people who think that doing this is easy, and baby, I will tell you that It is not. It is not. For folks who are not technologically savvy, we have done a lot of learning yet to do. But I can't think of a better person to take this journey with. So, uh, Mr. Ryder, thank you for being my partner in crime in this mission work that we have been on for a little while now, and it looks like we will be spending the rest of our lives doing together. So thank you for that.
Sounds like it. We're locked in.
Man, thank you can't get rid of me now. I'm like jumped into the family.
Yeah, legitimately. Once you're in, there's no way out.
100%. So one thing that we said that we were going to do, and what the people can look forward to with our sessions is number one, we're going to do check-ins because that's what friends, that's what family do, right? So we're going to get into a little bit of origin story work today. We're going to get into a little mission, vision, and purpose of why we felt it was important for this to exist. Again, like we do with our friends and family, we're going to do check-ins and we're going to do a little cut up, right? So um, again, thank you for all of you for joining us today and watching. And again, as we grow, we know that this audience and this community will grow with us. Our family will grow. So, as I just said, Z, we're going to do a check in. Sis.
All right. So checking in, right? This
Mm-hmm.
week I have been a little tired. Like most of us, I think this felt like the longest week of February. But I will say that I'm grateful that we have this space because even though it's been a hectic week, I was really looking forward to this space, which reminds me of my why. I know that sometimes we all have to work, we all have bills to pay, and sometimes our passion, our why, our work that we want to do might not be that first job that pays the bills and everything. So it could get a little hectic, but being able to execute the passion work and, of course, doing it with you, friend, like that is something I was looking forward to right before the weekend with the fam. So even though I had a hectic week, I'm ending it on a positive note. So that's how I'm feeling today. But how about you?
I would say for me that the new year has been a new year, honey. It is crazy to think that we will be in February, out of February and into March, and like next week is it.
That's it.
It's crazy. 2026 is flying by. And, I know that I had set all of these intentions and things that I wanted start off, 2026 with, but it feels like right now, like maybe we already through like first quarter. And I know that this was, one of those big projects for us that we definitely wanted to kick off in the new year. So it's glad that we're here. So I think that for me, it's there are a lot of positive lights. I think last year was very heavy just because I spent a lot of time focused on career based things. And one of the things about me is that as the oldest child, and I know we'll get into a little bit of our backstories a little later, but one of the big things for me was that, my life has been of service. I'm the oldest, I'm the only girl. And it's crazy because, like, in my mom's house, like, there was always something to do, right? So that has been the entirety of my life. So now at 45, right? To be 46 in June, I just sort of sit and I say, like, who is Shamel and what are the things that she likes to enjoy? So that is what 2026 has been framed up for me, of just figuring out what are those things that I really want to enjoy? What are those things that have, been on my list of like things I wanted to accomplish that maybe I sort of put to the back burner. Um, it's exciting for a lot of those things to be coming to fruition now. So I'm trying not to focus on, the heavier parts of life, and just sort of staying centered and focused on those things that I promised myself in 2025 that would be my focus in 20.
I love that. I think you're doing a great job at that too.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, friend, thank you. Well, you're a lot of that journey, because there's some overlap in some of those spaces, right? So, and again, I know that over the next couple sessions, as we get to know, as the folks get to know us and we get to know each other a little deeper, we'll get into a lot of those conversations. But um, I think I'm pretty proud of myself. I think
You
I'm pretty
should
proud
be.
of myself. Yeah, for staying the course. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. The only other thing that I would have to add to all of this goodness is accountability partners are a real thing. So I know we're each other's
Correct.
accountability partner, but we even have accountability partners for us. So
Hmm.
get to a village, get to a nice little circle. It doesn't have to be that big. It could
Hmm.
be real little, but
Hmm. And I know, like, I would like to call out now, right? Because, we always talk about people getting their flowers while they can still smell them. One of the people I definitely want to shout out is your partner. I call him Big Cap. Uh, he 100% keeps us on the straight and narrow. When this first started out as an idea that we wanted to do a podcast, and like we were trying to figure out like what we wanted to talk about and those types of things, he was our I would say our very first cheerleader of like, y'all should do this, right? And we started kicking it around of like, should we? Like, listen, y'all's conversations are crazy and funny as hell. I would listen to y'all as an introverted person. I would listen to y'all. So that other people would, enjoy hearing what y'all have to say also. And also some of the places where we do, community based work and the time and things that we've put into that, there's things that people can learn from, what you all have been able to do. Because I know that one thing that we have heard a lot, Z, from people is like, I don't know how to get started when it comes to doing community based work. One of the things that brought us together was the fact that like we were very much so aligned in showing up for community. And I know I'm going to jump into that story just in a few minutes, like what brought us together, in the first place, the history of, Shamel and Zoraida, right? And it's funny now because a lot of people talk to us now and there's no separation in our names. It's kind of like we're together. We move as a unit.
basically.
Yeah. So it is I want to definitely shout out those people who saw work that we were doing, saw our hearts, saw the possibilities of where we could, get to. So Big Cap being that first person to call it out. And then, the universe sort of stepped in and we had all of these people coming up to us like, have y'all ever thought about doing this together? Have y'all ever thought about making this a little bit bigger? And then us sort of looking like, should we? Guess it makes sense. And then again, everything just sort of, matured into what it is now and knowing that it'll grow even further. So definitely shout out to all of those folks. I want to shout out Makiba from International Girls Academy.
Okay.
Sis, thank you. 100% for my branded merch. I want to shout out my best friend, April Lugo, for again investing in like, hey, this is your brand, this is who you are. I want to be the first person to, shoot some gear there your way. A very special friend to me, Miss Miranda, who the opener that y'all hear, 100% her, lending her talents and her voice, because again, she uh, understood the assignment, baby. Said 100%, y'all want to opener, I got y'all. So thank you to her. But again, all of our friends and all of our family who have said like, do this thing. be unapologetic about it and speak your truths. So that is where unmuted came from, of just speaking up and saying the thing, not being scared. So Z, did you want to jump into a little bit of that origin story that we were talking about just now?
Yeah. So as Shamel said, we are not ones to be shy. Clearly, we're not. I mean, once upon a time, but you will hear that story later on. But we just didn't ever think this was going to become a reality. We talked about it a lot last year, so this is definitely something that I know we're both very excited about to share with you all, to be vulnerable, to basically strip down, right, to the nitty-gritty. And then so it's definitely, it all started from the passion that we both have. I think I can honestly say we didn't know how much our worlds intertwine until we spoke, and we basically became vulnerable around each other, and we decided to come together. Because why fight fights by yourself when you can have your unit, when you can have not only your family but friends and people that think like you. It doesn't mean that we don't disagree. Yes, we both have our own opinions on things, but having that person that you can speak your opinion, they can speak theirs, and at the end of the day, we can still leave the conversation with, I love you, sis. Like, I respect, that's a good point of view, vice versa. I love you, and we're still good. That means a lot. And I don't think that you'll find that anywhere. So last year, with the new administration, one of the things that I knew that was clear was that nonprofits, I don't know how many of you know that, but nonprofits were not going to get the same assistance. And as you know, nonprofits live of those grants, so those volunteers donating money, etc. So I did find out very early on that a lot of them were going to lose that support. So through our job, we do have programs in which we can volunteer, later on apply for a grant. And we were like, why not? If we might not be rich in that way that we can just splurge on nonprofits, but if through our job and through our work, we can not only volunteer our time, we can also get them a grant, that is the cherry on top. And then so Shamel, not even probably already thinking it in her end, and she reaches out and she's just like, "Hey, sis, like your community is going through it. How are you feeling?" Just that acknowledgement of her writing the support and how are you feeling meant a lot, because in a world that was quiet when everything on the outside was loud, that meant a lot that you were honestly there for us. So I've told you this quite often, but we do appreciate you for that. And then vice versa. She had her own community to worry about because they're also being targeted, and still had time to worry about ours. Wow. So I could only ever return the favor. So we decided we're coming together. We're going to spread all this love to both of our communities and beyond. Because, yes, we're going to talk heavily on what we know in our communities, but we also love beyond that. And then so anytime we can help, that's what we're going to be. We're going to be helping in the at the front line, wherever we need to be, you'll find us to help community. And then so that was able to make us this friendship even stronger. We became family, and now we're helping all of our nonprofit family, because that's one thing with us. If you're in it, if we're in it, we're family. And then so through this podcast, we wanted to bring awareness to nonprofits and how can you help. And I'm going to be honest, up until a few years ago, I didn't know that I could do much besides volunteering money here and there when you go to the store or get on their website. I didn't know that I could do anything else. So just being able to see how much I could do, back to what Shamel said at the beginning, how do I get started? It's easy. And that's what we want to bring awareness to, as well as a lot of the topics that people are uncomfortable talking about. And I'll throw it back to Shamel so that she can talk a little bit about that part about that we're going to be discussing within this podcast as well.
Absolutely. So I think, and thank you for that, Z. That was a beautiful um, uh, mission of how we got together because that is 100% true. And I want to thank you for your partnership and thank you for your friendship through it all because a lot of times it wasn't easy and trying to figure out how to navigate and how to make sure that we were showing love across the board. That was definitely a labor of love. And we were very successful in that space. And just looking forward to what we're able to do. Again, the goal is not to drink the ocean, it's just to take your cup and do your part. Right. So, for anybody who is listening and wondering how to get involved, again, it's not for you to 100% solve the problem of the world. But if all of us sort of chip away at it, then that becomes the truth that we can change it together. Um, but how do we get there, right? So outside of just these hands, there's a reason that we have, two hands, two ears, one mouth, right? Two eyes. It is, to be of service, to listen with an open heart, to look at a reality that is happening and seeing where we can make an impact and speaking less and being more focused on action, right? So all of that is great. But the first thing you have to do is have some truths told, right? So one of the beautiful things about the relationship with Z and her truly becoming a member of my family is that we can have open and honest conversations with each other because again, didn't automatically know anything about the Hispanic community because that was not my lived experience. Just like for Zoraida, she is not a Black queer woman. So, there were times where there were questions to be asked and real conversations to be had about not only am I a Black queer woman, but I'm masculine presenting. Like, how does that show up? Not only in my own community, but to the world, right? Because we know that sometimes, even in the safety of the communities that we exist in, that there are conversations there that need to happen. So, as we get to the work, there's also some education that has to happen when you get there because you have to understand that the communities that you serve. And even though that might not be your lived experience every day, to be able to hear the stories, and even though you might not directly connect with them, be able to hear it and have a perspective, not an opinion, but a perspective, right? Because it's not about judgment. It's not about now going in and telling the stories of these communities because they can tell their own stories. But when you don't have someone represented at the table and then you have somebody who is telling an untruth, then that is your obligation to speak up. That doesn't happen if we can't have open conversations with each other, right? So not only, in this podcast, do we want to educate people on not organizations that need support and help. And you'll see we'll have different guests on here talking about what their organizations do. Because again, I know here just locally, we have like a ridiculous amount of nonprofits. And some of them have some overlap in, the communities they serve. We have 100,000 people here. I think we have like 10,000 nonprofits, whether they're active or not, but there's some overlap. But again, because sometimes people haven't had conversations, they don't understand that like we're serving the same populations of people. Maybe we can combine forces instead of just going out and creating our own thing. But also, where is it that you do have a nonprofit that is nuanced and doing something different? Learn something from one that has existed already or one that is newer that might have talents and people who have abilities where they can share resources that are of no cost but benefit everybody all the way around, right? So we're going to have nonprofits to come in and talk to you about the work that they're doing, the communities that they serve. But then also we're going to have people to come in and talk about perspectives that Z and I don't have, right? So to have guests who have, again, different experiences where we can ask questions and have open conversation where you don't have to feel like your hand is going to get smacked if you ask something because you don't know something. All of us are ignorant in something. Okay? All of us, everybody. And I know ignorance is a bad word, whatever. In this space, it's a good word because we want to talk about all the stuff we don't know. So 100%, we're going to have some open dialogue. And I know this sounds super serious. As you get to know Z and I, you will understand that we are serious exactly 37% of the time. The rest of the time, we are just cutting up and just being fools.
Very
Being
unserious.
fools. very unserious because that's important too, right? Because in this space, it's so easy to have burnout and so easy to be overwhelmed, and laughter heals a lot.
True.
And just talking feels a lot. One thing I can tell you is I talk to this woman at least 6 times a week, whether it's via text of us sending stupid TikToks to each other or like inappropriate stuff. And those things, again, are just as valuable as the meaningful conversations that we have where we're planning stuff or talking about like strategy, or those conversations are equally as important because in the moments where the work gets heavy, we lean into our friendship. We lean into like, this is a safe space for me, right? So that is the community that we want to build here. And we're going to keep plugging away at it. So I'm super excited on who we get to bring aboard. Also, the amazing people that are in our network who you all will hear from, because we have some truly dynamic people that we get to connect with day to day. So we definitely look forward to introducing you to them as well.
I agree. I'm excited. And who will our first guest be? Who knows? You'll just have to be surprised.
I don't know. I don't.
Sure
But what
don't.
I can tell you is that we have a for real list of people, and people again we've been talking about and making sure that we hold space for the amazing people who hold space for us. So those people, we have a list of people who are just like, as soon as y'all kick off, I'm ready, and I'm like, don't know what you're gonna talk about yet, friend, but we gonna get there.
We'll figure something out.
You got something to talk about. We gonna figure it out. Now don't be. Now we're allowed to be foolish. Our guests are not allowed to be foolish at all. Absolutely not. No, just playing.
I think
But
somebody
yes,
said,
yes.
"Hey,
So
I'm gonna say a bad word," and I said, "Why not?"
those are just sentence enhancers, is what I like to call them.
I
They
just,
just spice it up a little bit,
I
you
just want
know?
to establish like who decided this is a bad word.
Yeah. Why? 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 Right? There was this lady that I was listening to actually on a podcast this morning, and she said something. And I said, "Oh, I need to research that." So, Z, we need to put a bookmark in this because one of the future podcasts could be the history of cuss words, right?
Ooh.
Bad words, right? Because she was talking about the history of the word motherfucker. And as she was telling the story, I said, "Oh, is that where that came from?" I'm not going to tell y'all until we research it. So you're going to have to wait for that episode. But when she was telling the story of it, I was like, if that's where it came from, I don't know that I feel comfortable using that anymore. But not that you should ever feel comfortable using it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I'm not the best version of me when I'm out on the road and people cut me or don't know how. Listen, all I'm saying is we don't all follow traffic laws, and that's clear.
Well, I 100% am a law-abiding citizen when it comes to
Maybe
the rules
you,
of the road.
but
So
what
if
about the rest?
if there are no, listen, if there are any officers who think I have a valid Virginia driver's license, that's all I'm saying.
True, true.
How many points do I have on my license? Because they roll off every 3 years. For those of you who don't know, you ain't got to claim them if they're not on there no more. That's all I'm saying.
That's a
Law-abiding
fair
citizen.
statement.
Truth. Mhm. When it comes to rules of the road, 100%, I'm not that person, Zoraida. So you will not tag me in with you. I will not claim that. Absolutely not. Mm-mm.
I'm not saying
Nope.
me, I'm saying other people. Do you not
Oh,
get
so I miss it.
moved?
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I sing hymns when I start to feel myself because I don't perspire or get worked up at all. Mm-mm. Ever. So road rage who?
Okay.
Absolutely not. I shall not be moved. No. The
Hmm.
tree that grows by the water. Mm-mm.
We'll see. We'll see what our audience thinks. I think that's a good poll on our Instagram.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Road
True, true,
rage,
true.
non-road rage. Where do you fall? Hmm.
Again, is it rage if you're just trying to make sure that the other people understand the rules of the road and you're just speaking to them from another vehicle where maybe they can't hear you, so you have to speak in an elevated tone? And then, of course, sometimes the elevated tone doesn't reach them because maybe their music is up loud. So you need to use gestures for them to understand. I like to call that sign language in cursive.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome. It's all about perspective. That's all.
That's true.
Okay.
Okay, I see what you did there.
I thought you would. So, one of the things we definitely want to call out, we do all of our platforms. We will definitely share there. So please like and follow in all the spaces where you like to listen and watch. So we will link them. Also, you will see that beautiful logo that my good sis created for Unmuted. Please understand that the doll baby is always out here creating because that's what she does. So you will see opportunities to not only have access to those logos and the things that we share, but there's some other things we're cooking up. So
But you have to
be on the
follow us to
lookout
know.
too, or you won't know. Because guess what? Roll up on me on the streets if you want to and think I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not. I'm not. My first question is gonna be, we told you where you can find us, and it was not on the street.
At
No.
all.
Mm-mm.
And
If these
also,
headphones ain't on,
right. And also,
with
what
me.
what if you have a question on a topic that we haven't even thought about? There's so many topics. So you would have to follow us to send that question.
Mm-hmm. And hear our responses. Because what I'm not going to do is talk to you about it in Walmart. So I know here locally that is a thing. You can find most conversations happening in the meat section at the Walmart. Hmm. What I'm not going to do is talk to you about it in Walmart. I'm just not. Mm-mm. But what you can do, come on over here. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If they want to talk about something that you don't feel like you could talk about in mixed company, drop it in. We got an email. Drop it there. Drop it on our social media. And again, we'll shout you out. If we pick a topic that's, something that you suggested, we're definitely going to give
Oh
credit.
yeah,
Hmm.
100%.
And if you don't want us to give credit, you can just come up with a pseudonym. Just come up with your own name, drop it on there, drop it anonymously. We'll still bring it up. But if you don't want us to shout you out, it's okay. We'll take credit for it.
You
It was
know,
our
it's
idea.
between
It
us.
was us. It was us. So I know that uh we have a long weekend ahead of us there, a long work week ahead of us. And I know that, some people are, in different phases of their career and life right now. So um, I want to tell you to come here on your safe space. Just cut up with your girls. Cut up with your girl. And one of the things that you will find here too is just affirmations too. After every um,
Episode.
episode that we drop. Yeah, every episode that we drop, we will close it with an affirmation. So whether it is my friend Big Z or Ross the Boss that drops it for you, understand that you will not only have your cup filled here, but also you will leave with a message that hopefully gets you to the next episode. So I know, Z, that you have something special for the folks today.
I do. I do. Okay. So, in honor of our first episode and talking about our why, I thought I want something for others that might not have their why yet. So that's where I went to my inspirational messages, which is as follows: find your why and you'll find your way. Now, here on the internet, we have Mr. John Maxwell that posted this, but I do see it a lot. And I think it's really important because a lot of people think, okay, what if I know my why? What's the next step? But it's very true because once you find that why, the rest will follow. For me, it had to be knowing that I could help out community, then that introduced me to our wonderful nonprofit partners and the wonderful work they do. And that made me want to do more. And then so I love my family. I'm a mom, but there has to be more to me than that. There has to be my passion, my why. And so it's community. And now it's through this podcast, reaching even more community and helping out anybody that I can. So if any words that I say in this podcast helps one person, then I am following in my why. So I don't know. I just really like that, and I want something simple for you to take away, so that if you don't have your why yet, or if you do, just know that you will find your way. You just have to sometimes dig a little deep.
That's good. I like that. Hey, come on.
Yep.
Yeah.
What does that mean
Mhm.
to you after hearing it?
I think there's a quote that comes to mind, and I do not want to bastardize it at all. So I will save it for the notes for this particular episode. So I'll make sure that it's in the write up for this episode. But I think about how long it took for me to figure out my why, and what the impact that I wanted to have on this world. And then the moment I figured out what it was, how freeing that was. So for those people who, may not know yet, it's just saying like, to be patient with yourself. And there could be any like number of things that are happening around you that are leading you to your why. And just because it's happening for somebody else or somebody else has found theirs, that's for them. And what's for you is for you.
Mm-hmm.
And your journey looks different from everybody else. That's why it's your journey. So the why like really stuck to me, and I definitely want to thank you for that affirmation, because I know that was I didn't hear it beforehand because we like to surprise each other, with these things. So I want to thank you for that, because I think sometimes when you unlock something, sometimes we forget how long it took us to get there, and we just expect other people to already be there, not recognizing that our path was a journey too. So, for those people who don't know yet, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
100%. I think, I mean, oh, next month I'll be 37. But, I, for the longest, and this is something that, Shamel, in a way, you were a big part of this because I remember every time I would introduce myself, it would be like, I'm a mom. I have two daughters. I'm this. And it's like, Shema would always say, okay, but besides being a mom, besides your role, besides this, like you, and it was like that made me start looking deep because I think as a parent, not only because you're a parent, there's like many other walks of life. So it's not just, but I'm just speaking on the parent, the single parent standpoint. Your kids become your why, but you should still not lose yourself, but it can be very blurred, right? So then now I see it as I'm showing my kids, they're older now too, so maybe that does help a little bit. They're older, but I'm showing them if I can do it, like, I was a single mom, a teen mom, I have two kids, I have a full plate. But if I can do some of these things that I love, then maybe they will feel like they can do it. And that's also something that you want to teach your kids. So finding my why and finding my way now into this. This is a dream come true. I never would have expected this and that I was here in this space. And then so, you know, the little me would have never imagined this because I was, in a different mindset back then till now. So I'm just overall excited and happy that I'm finally able to tap into some of that personal goals of mine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I am so proud of you for doing the work that you do and the journey that you've been on to figure out who Miss Z is. So I'm really proud of you, friend.
Thank you. And I'm proud of you because last year we were going through the ringer. You hear me? The ringer. And now that we're recording this episode, like we're already on our way. And all the stuff that we have brewing up and that you will soon find out, it was not easy. Took a lot of preparation, a lot of different things. So it's a big milestone for us. So it's to both of us, really, because I know y'all heard her earlier in the episode. Technology is not her forte per se, but my friend here this year challenged herself. And even though technology is hard for a lot of people, she acknowledged that was something that she was not that good at, but she still like found a way to believe in her and she made it work. That alone just speaks volumes on how because of your why. See, you wanted to record this podcast, you wanted to share and all these things, so you found a way to help your why if you think about it.
Mhm. That's a very true statement because Buddy struggles. Struggles. I think the other thing too was that understanding that sometimes what you're in the places where you're ignorant, it's easy to make it become a crutch, right?
Yes, 100%.
It's always easy for me to say, well, there's somebody who'll help me.
Mm-hmm.
And in the places where, I wasn't the strongest, especially when it came to technology and stuff. And then one of the things that was a big one for me was Big Cap. Just seeing him teaching himself how to be a producer for us, with this podcast, and he didn't know, and he would have like, "Hey, I looked this up and I figured this out." And I remember he was in my tail a little bit about. Oh, Shamel, all this stuff, our stuff is set up over here. What are you doing? And I was like, it's different. It's two of y'all. It's just me. He is just a girl.
When we say two of
Right?
us, it was mostly him. I'm just a graphic person. I just tell me graphics all day. But I have, to your point, like try to learn a few things. But yeah, no. Keep going with your story.
Yeah, 100% him, right? So I remember I had some assistants setting up my mic, and like I set up my equipment. I had not touched my MacBook, y'all. I bought this MacBook in like around COVID. I had maybe used her like 3 times. Honestly. My iPad more than I use anything else in the world because I play my games on it.
That makes sense.
Let's be real. And I remember when I bought the MacBook, because I bought the MacBook and the iPad at the same time. And the guy at Best Buy was like, "Why are you doing both?" Because they pretty much do the same thing. And I was like, "You shut your mouth, sir. You don't know me. I'm going to use both of them." Did I? Absolutely not. When we started talking about doing this, I had my work computer, which I'm on, more than anything else in the world. And I was like, I can't use that. And I was like, oh, you got this whole MacBook that you have not signed on. And I remember talking to Z, and I was like, I got to update it. And it might take, 7 to 10 business days because she has not been on. Right. I don't really know how to use her. I know that all of my devices are linked. All I know. And then like getting the equipment, getting the speakers, getting my mixers, getting my mic, having big monitors that I can see because these glasses, baby, are real. They're needed. If I take them off, I have to stand still. True statement. So I remember I had someone come over to help me with the mic. And then I was like, well, what about the speakers? And what about this other stuff? And they were like, oh, okay, good luck. All right.
Gotta go.
Gotta go. Got stuff to do. And I was like, fair, because I did not tell you that I need help with all these other things. And I remember sharing with Z that I was sitting on the floor with all of these cords and all these things. I immediately started to panic of like, who else can I call to help? And I said, absolutely not, because y'all need to record next week. I just sat crisscross applesauce on the floor. I said, you can figure this out. Because number one, you got Beyonce's internet, and she did not create it for you not to use it. And guess what? You got ChatGPT, you got YouTube to do everything. So I just sat on the floor and I just took it one thing at a time and just figured it out. And I was patient with myself. And I was so proud of myself after I got everything set up that I called Z, and I sent a text to her and Kat with a picture with everything like working and lit up. And that was a very proud moment for me because I had already told myself what I couldn't do. And then I separated myself so far from my why. I put all of these barriers in place to separate me from my why. And then as soon as I told myself, be patient and figure it out, it was like I was back on track. I wanted to do what feels like my purpose in life. And like, hey, you can do these things. But if you walk in and telling yourself all the stuff that you can't do, just sitting with it first, understanding that there are going to be times where you need help with stuff, right? But it was like, had I just said I can't, we wouldn't be at this milestone of being able to say that we recorded our first episode. Z could have recorded it, but I wouldn't have been on it, or you would have heard me from her iPhone talking about it's but I am thankful. And again, the other thing too is like we're learning together. So like, with these different platforms and things, like I could tell you, full transparency today, both of us like, okay, our cameras, our lighting, our audio, and us learning on the fly is, also a thing. But the thing is for it not those hiccups that we have, not to have them be things that knocked us off of what we feel like our greater purpose is and the things that we want to execute on. So thank you for that affirmation that led to like a beautiful story of why we will continue, understanding that we will have hiccups, we will have roadblocks, and again, we'll get through them together.
I agree. I love this.
So it's about that time, friend. It's about that time.
Time flies when you're having
Hey.
fun.
Hey, listen. So we want to thank you with our whole hearts for tuning in to this first episode, and what will be many, many more episodes that we will shoot in the future. So from Queen Z,
And from Ross the Boss, that girl.
we want to let you know that we will continue to be, honey, unmuted. We will continue to encourage you to be what?
Unmuted.
So from our homes to yours, to you all the hugs and love. Ow.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget, like, share, follow, subscribe, and don't forget to stay unmuted.